guys, so today on the channel what we're going to be doing is Cerakoting the Mark 1 downpipe and turbo manifold. Again, this is stuff that you can do at home, so you probably do need a relatively big air compressor, probably like 22 gallons at least. Obviously I'm at my shop, so we got an 80 gallon, so there's no worry about air supply, because you will need to spray it with a spray gun. I'll show you all the stuff needed, but so here's the turbo downpipe. You saw me make this in the last episode. If you didn't see it, link will be in the description or up in the top somewhere. Go check that out. And then here is the manifold. Now I make these manifolds myself. I've made a few for people over the years, but this stuff's expensive, so I don't really offer them for sale. So anyway, looking at this, you can see that this is built off of the stock 12 valve manifolds. So this will bolt to the engine like that. And these are all, everything on this is stainless. And this is all Schedule 10 2-inch piping. So you can see it's really big. So this will never have a problem with any type of flow. So the reason I made the downpipe last time was so I could have the wastegate placement. With wastegates, you know, the exhaust flow is coming out of here, so you want a pretty straight angle, something that's on a curve that has, you know, the flow coming out. So I have two 38mm MDSs. You can see they look real nice and pretty, cleaned up inside. Yeah, so I didn't make a video on this manifold because, again, this car has been in the works for years. I've made a few of these basically off of that car, but I make these myself in my basement on my VR block, and so this was already pretty much done. The only thing I had to do was just add the gates last time. So I added the gates. I didn't really feel like it needed to be filmed. Next time I ever make one of these manifolds, I'll take you through the whole process, but you know, that time will come when it comes. So now I'm going to show you the things we're going to need. First, you're going to need acetone. The reason you need acetone is it'll clean all the nastiness off of this. Even though everything here is brand new, it's been fondled by my hands for years, and you saw in the video, it takes a lot of time to make these things, so handprints, fingerprints are all over the place. Can't have that when you're painting. Acetone, I just have it in this nice bottle. You just squeeze it, sprays out, nice and easy. A wad of rags. You need something to clean with. Red Scotch Brite. This works really well, especially when stuff is already relatively clean, new. You can use sandpaper, you can use whatever you want. You just have to scuff the surface, because even though paint is a chemical bond, it's also a mechanical bond. So when you make those scratches, the paint will get its way in, dig in, and stay in place. As you guys know on the channel, I'm pretty cheap. The goal is to always be self-sufficient. So I've Cerakoted things plenty of times, done everything myself, and this gun actually works really well. This is a detail gun from Harbor Freight. It's about 15 bucks on its own, and then you just got to buy little random stuff with it. Like I bought that pressure regulator and the air fittings, and yeah, it works great. Just as long as you clean the stuff, take care of it, it'll work fine. Tape. You need tape because all the sealing surfaces, you can Cerakote them, but it's one more thing to fail. I've already sanded, decked all these things smooth, so I don't want any sort of coating on it. So all that's going to be taped off, as well as flex joints. You never want to paint your flex joints. Final thing you need is the Cerakote. So there's many types of Cerakote. This is just an air cure. Why? Because I don't have a big industrial oven to cook this stuff in. So this is already mixed. It comes mixed. So literally all you have to do is just shake this stuff up and spray it on. Everything that I've ever done has lasted. I have done this in my Mark II. The heat shield, downpipes, manifold, everything's done. So I know this stuff works. So this is the series if you want to copy me. It's a C111. Tungsten is the color. That's everything you need to Cerakote at home. Getting ready to sand now. I will be losing all this nice color in the manifold, but the protective coating, this acts as a thermal barrier, and it actually does work in my Mark II, where with the stock manifold, the heat retention in the bay, it was horrible. But with the Cerakote in there, now I can open the hood and actually like work on the car after a nice like hard pull or anything like that. It actually does keep the heat in the exhaust where it should be. So you just kind of want everything to be as dull as possible. Here's a good comparison of kind of what you're looking for if you just made the part. That means now, then that's scuffed, I can just clean it and it should be ready for paint. Plenty more sanding to do. Everything's sanded down on the turbo manifold now. In case you guys were wondering, all the flanges are welded on the inside, so this should be nice and strong. Like I said, I try to do everything to the best of my abilities. Now, I just gotta clean this off, tape it off, and then I'll do the downpipe. That's why you gotta clean everything. And now I'll repeat the process to the downpipe. I got everything ready, prepped. I got the mechanics wire to hang the stuff, you know, more cleaner, rags, everything's taped off. I was going to use the bay door and hang it up in the air and just tie it to the bay door, but it's extremely cold outside today. It's like 40 degrees. In here it's like 70. I think my next best option is use the lift. What I'll be doing is I'll probably do it in Tim's bay, and I'll raise the lift all the way up and just hang the parts off the lift arms. I think it should work. Everything's hung up and suspended. Now I just gotta clean everything. Alright, so right off the bat, you gotta make sure you shake this stuff up good. Now to the gun, and get it out and set the pressure. This little pressure regulator seems to be failing, so it seems like all I can get is 80 PSI. So that's what I want to roll with. Don't forget a mask. Probably should use a better one, but this is what I got for now. Don't fill this to the top. You see it has this little hole? It will run out. Don't get any of these little crystals in there either. First thing we got to do is check our spray pattern. I think it needs a little more fan. Actually, no, that's probably fine. Fuck. You know what? I'm gonna get the other mask. Yeah, so get one of these. These are like 16 bucks at Harbor Freight. They work well. I was just being lazy. You definitely need it. The objective here is to get into all the tight areas. So you want to get down in there. You want to get up in here. You know, all the hard to reach stuff. That way it dries. And then you'll see if you missed any spots when you go over it. Don't go crazy with it. Let it dry some. You'll know when it flashes, it won't be glossy anymore. Now onto the downpipe. All right, guys, we'll let that dry for a little bit. Everything's looking good right now. Still a little shiny, so we're gonna wait until the shininess kind of dulls down, and then we'll do another coat and probably another coat. So I think 3 coats total should be fine. Going back for the second coat, I did not have to refill the cup. It's still plenty full, so I think I'll be fine for the next 2 coats. Doing this as quickly as possible, so I'm really only waiting 10 minutes. Usually I do this out in the sun, and 10 minutes is fine, but everything's still a little glossy, but I got somewhere I gotta be, so gotta get it done. Second coat, no runs I see yet, so doing okay. I did get a run on the downpipe, but nobody will ever see it. It's right there on the inside underneath the car. So after this, 1 more coat, and then we'll clean the gun, and I'll let it dry overnight and come back and show you guys what it looks like finished. Got the final coats done. Gonna wait a few seconds and then peel all the tape off, but in the meantime I'll clean the gun. Usually I'll put some acetone in this and then I'll spray it. That usually keeps the gun pretty clean. I think this is the best way. I've done it like this for years and it always seems to work. Take good care of your cheap tools. That Harbor Freight gun works really good, and we have an 80-gallon compressor here and it only went off 1 time. So I really think if you had like a 22-gallon air compressor at home, you'd probably be perfectly fine with that detail gun. We just gotta peel all the tape. Should be probably a pretty satisfying part of it. Here's how everything turned out. I think it's beautiful, and it'll keep all the heat out of the engine bay and in the turbo like it should be. So again, I like to do everything self-sufficiently as possible. I built all these manifolds, I back purged everything, I bought the Cerakote, I bought the gun, I've just figured it out on my own. You know, you read some stuff, you know, do research, and then try to put your best foot forward and get the stuff done. I'm extremely happy with this. This shows that anybody can do this type of stuff at home. This at a shop probably would have been about 400 bucks. So I just saved myself 400 bucks by buying the gun that I've had for years, 15, 20 bucks. The Cerakote that I bought years ago, probably for 60 bucks. And I've done a lot of stuff with it. And then just some sandpaper, some acetone. 3 hours of time. This did take me a little bit of time, but with filming for you guys, that always makes it a little harder, you know. I probably would have been done this in 2 hours if I didn't have to film it. So keep that in mind. But you can do it yourself. Get out there, work on your cars. See you guys in the next one. Like, comment, subscribe. If you're into Volkswagen stuff, stick around. If you're into this type of stuff, welding, fabricating, I do a lot of it, so